Okay. It is 2:00 on January 4th, Thursday, Board of Directors meeting for the Georgetown Public Divide Utility District. I guess we'll start the roll call to order. Roll call.
Roll call. Director Saunders,
Present.
Director Stovall,
Present.
Vice President Seaman,
Present.
and then
Hold on. Make sure we get the two numbers from Melody as well.
Oh, I think that's where, are we doing the reading thing?
I read that one.
Okay, do that first and then, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold it off. I standing in for President McDonald. There are two board members which are unavailable. And it is Mitch McDonald, President, and Michael Thornbull, who would be attending remotely pursuant to AB 2449.
Am I number one or number two?
President McDonald, do you want to announce the reason for your, I think you have a statement that you should read.
Can't
hear you.
Hang on, Mitch, we can't hear you.
You can hear me okay, right?
No,
That's one. That's 1, 2. Testing, testing. I can hear you, Mitch, but it's real low. It's not as high. as it was.
working. Mike and Mitch are working.
Testing, hello, testing. Hello? Speaking pretty your volumes. Yeah, it's pretty,
I can hear you.
something happened because you were a lot louder earlier.
Mitch, can you say something now?
Test, 1, 2, 1, 2, test. Testing, 1, 2.
One more time, please.
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, test. Hello, test, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Me at all?
Well, you have a quorum, so.
We call Mike Saunders.
There we go, we can hear you now.
Now we go. Go ahead and read your statement there, Mitch, please.
Test 1, 2, okay?
Good.
Okay. Oh, Mike's just called me. He's hanging up. Okay. I'm Mitch McDonald, President, and I'm participating.
Hang on, Mitch, hang on.
Mike, can you put your camera on and unmute yourself?
Hello now, okay?
No, we'll tell you. Hold on.
You're working, Mitch, you're fine. We're just waiting for Mike T to come back on.
Oh.
I just checked her. They got your phone.
I texted you.
I checked her.
He's gonna go.
That's important.
Director Thornbrook. Yes, sir. Do you wanna, I would jump out and try to log back in. Yeah. Yes. But. He had a problem with the video, won't let him kick the video in.
Just give it a minute.
Technology, ain't it, Grant? Like that about smoke signals. We lost Steven too.
I knew he would want to be.
For you homeowners, did you know that there's been
Is there, what do we need to know?
It's probably solar
I
related.
think California.
Do you want to take a brief recess to try to figure this out?
Yeah, doing some meetings for a second.
Do I have to announce it?
Recess.
We're going to take a brief recess
sir.
until we get this technology issue taken care of. And then we'll resume. Thank you.
All right, so I think we're.
Okay,
Turn director.
are we good? Okay, we are resuming our meeting at 2:12.
Yes, I was wanting to state that I'm President McDonald and I participating remotely due to a contagious illness that prevents me from attending in person. And, and I also have someone over age 18, my wife with me, present, and she will be in and out, around and about, but not hanging out during this session.
Thank you.
My turn.
Yes.
This Mike Thornborough, I'm participating remotely due to a contagious illness that prevents in-person attendance. My wife, who is many decades older than 18, will also be hanging out, though she's not here right now, oddly.
All right. Well, for the record, we didn't. I appreciate the editorialization, but how many decades she is above 18 is not legally required. But
I thought you might want some clarification.
as long as she's over 18, that's all we need.
Oh, she is.
Okay. And then before we do the roll call vote, a motion to allow them to participate remotely would be in order.
I'll make a motion to allow directors Thornborough and President McDonald to participate remotely due to the Brown Act just cause. I second that motion.
Do we roll call it?
You guys vote, just the three of you.
Yeah, roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, please.
And all votes for this meeting will have to be by roll call due to their
Yes.
remote. Okay.
Gotcha, okay. So Director Saunders,
Yes.
Director Stovall,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Yes.
Director Thornborough.
It's just those.
Oh,
two for this
okay.
one.
Gotcha. Voting them in.
Well, it's a good thing you guys did that after all I went through.
So that's it.
Right, so.
Okay, we're up to the Pledge of
Pledge of
Allegiance.
allegiance.
Mr. Stovall.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're up to public adoption of the agenda. Are there any public comments on the adoption of the agenda? I will now close the public comment period and there will be no further comments allowed. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move the agenda be adopted as provided.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Director Stovall,
Aye.
Director Saunders,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough,
Aye.
and President McDonald.
I
Motion passed. What are we up to now?
Public forum,
Public forum.
so just, it's on the,
You can look at the
Donna, read what's on there. Or what you should.
yellow. Yeah.
Read was on.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't have that.
Let me see.
Sorry. Nope, sorry. Nope, sorry.
Okay.
That one.
Just gonna need.
What are you all
Please.
getting?
Please note guidelines for the public forum as they appear on the meeting agenda. As a reminder, under the Brown Act, the public must address all their public comments to the board, not to the staff or other members of the public. Due to Brown Act limitations, the board is not able to discuss or take actions on items not on the agenda. Public forum is now open. Public forum is now closed. I see no public comments. Is there anything else, Nick? You'd like to, well, you're not addressing anything, so scratch that one. So we're up to the approval of the agenda, adoption of the agenda, approval, wait a minute, approval of the minutes on the consent, well, do we have anything on the consent calendar? Changes moving? Approval of
It
the,
was a typo, just to be aware that we did change on there, so we caught that there was one, typo that we changed.
Motion to accept the consent calendar?
Second,
roll call vote?
All right, Director Stovall,
aye.
Director Saunders,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough,
Aye.
and President McDonald.
Okay, motion passes. We're up to office managers report.
So just a little bit different than we normally do. We do have a small PowerPoint presentation to give today. And it's going to be a budget review and a financial health in district. So we're gonna pull that up real quick. And Jessica's gonna go through that.
That's an action item.
Oh, you're gonna do that right now? Oh, then we'll do that with the action item, excuse me.
These are just the monthly financial reports. I did make sure that it was year to date for the vendor purchasing report. And these are all through November 30th.
Are there any board members that wish to comment on this?
This is not the PowerPoint, this is.
No, that'll be part of the budget amendment.
Published.
We'll move on to the public. It will now be open for public comment. Sheree?
Yes. Check, well, the checks, there's like 4 or 5 checks for BST services. What is that?
Plain stuff trucking, they're on CIP program and doing rock delivery for our country.
Oh, so that's right. So you didn't need a purchase order for that company?
We did RFP for it.
You did in a word, okay, I didn't see that. Okay, and then my other question is check 35468, Lane Enterprises Holding, 11,000. Any idea what that was for?
Do the second roll then.
35468.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Do you wanna go look?
All right, I'll do a PRA on it.
I just, we just. What page are you, is it on?
It's on the check report, page 1 of 4.
And what page though? Cause it was like
1.
4 pages of that.
Well, the numbers are in order, I think. 35468.
Oh, Lane, not Lane.
Lane.
It says Lane. Still don't know what it is.
Just put a request in.
Okay, and then my other thing is about the CPA budget, and it's the checks. I mentioned this at the last meeting. I talked about $29,000 check to LSL and was told it was for current audit. Then there, on November 9th, another check for $48,000 was paid out. So now you're well over $127,000 for a $90,000 CPA budget. And my question is, why is the district spending all of these funds or expending all these funds to LSL to help with the audit when the actual auditors are only receiving $21,000? The district staff has always been responsible for accumulating the majority of the documents for the auditors, not the district CPAs. Last year at this time, from 7/1 to 7/30/22, only $26,000 was paid to LSL. If the district was able to get through last year's audit period for the $26,000, why are they now spending $127,000 at the same time period? This spending is not in the best interest of the ratepayers, and this board should look into it. I also think the CPA budget should have an actual account number, like legal and the audit accounts, and not be lumped into professional services. That's it.
We didn't start the audit until January last year.
So nobody's gonna answer why you're spending $100,000 more?
It's very detailed. You can submit a request for it.
I have done it, and their invoices don't have details.
I guess what she's saying is put the questions in writing to the district and he can respond to them.
Okay, because prior, the management analyst did it. Even when we had an accountant in the office 3 days a week, we didn't spend as much money. So, anyway. But then it's over budget, so.
Any more public comments? I will now close public comment period. Staff, are there any other comments you wish to address?
I will address the Lane Enterprise Holdings. It looks like it's a shipping company for pipe.
Pipe shipping.
Well, that project, yeah. I looked it up online.
Yes.
Figured out what they sold.
There is Pacific corrugated pipe.
It's the pipes, we had a blowout on the canal and we ordered pipe for them.
You replace the canal with pipe.
In a certain section.
Like upcountry.
Correct.
It was in the photos last month.
Yeah, but they're never labeled.
Okay, we're done with the office manager's report. We're up to informational items. Board reports. Where do we want to go first? In-house or out-house?
Your choice. You're in charge.
Mr. Stovall,
I have nothing to report.
that kind of guy. Director Saunders,
Yep, I have a report in, shows I went to the RWA meeting. We accepted our fiscal year audit for 22-23. And as you can see on the table there, the district did receive its an award for the Small System Innovation Award. And that was for work on the capital improvement project, the automated meter project. So that was an award we got, actually the 1st of May. Aqua meeting, I had, there was a water rights work group. There's a water rights document that they will be sending to legislation. So they're asked us to support it. Right now it's coming from the water rights work group, and they'll send it to us that we can look at.
I actually received it this morning.
And there was a board of directors meeting this morning, and we confirmed all the vice chairs and chairs of the committees, and the next meeting will be February 2nd. And updating events is February 27th to 29th is the Opera DC event. The spring conference is in Sacramento, so May 7th to 8th, and the fall conference is in December the 3rd to 5th in Palm Desert. And that's it for my reports.
thank you. Director Thornborough,
Well, first of all, I would like some clarification to the reference to the outhouse. Didn't think I caught that, did you? So my report is, when I was assigned the seat on the El Dorado Water Agency, I knew that we were splitting that seat with another agency. And coincidentally, when I was on my way to the last meeting last month, I thought I probably should ask about that, which I did. And then I was informed that, yes, my last day on that board is, what month was January? And then EID is going to be getting our seat. So I think we ought to look into a different arrangement. If we want to be on that board full time, I think maybe we should look into making it a 7-member board, because there's 2 seats. And I think our seat is also split. It's like split twice. It's Grizzly Flats and us, for 1 term, and then it goes to EID for the other term, but Grizzly Flats naturally wasn't in any position to do their part. So I think if we want to maintain a seat on there, I think we should look at other options that we may have to pursue. That's it from the outhouse.
Thank you.
Was that the water agency, the county?
El Dorado Water Agency, yeah.
Yeah.
President McDonald, your board report.
Nothing in particular report, just that I enjoy working with this board and the staff and the community, and nothing other than that in particular.
Thank you. In December, I don't think I've had any more than the irrigation committee, so I have nothing to report. Did you already do your legislative liaison? Okay.
Yeah. I sent a copy of all the significant new laws that affect the area of water that came through with Aqua and RWA, some of them are in there as well. And covered some of the ones that'll be affecting us at the last meeting. So if there's any questions on that.
Where's the list? It's not in the packet.
It
It's
is,
in the packet.
Not.
it's right after the quarter. It's right in the final packet right here.
What's it before and after?
I'm sorry? It's
Right.
right after his report. It says Aqua Summary of Legislation.
So the PowerPoint looking thing?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's a brochure.
It's a brochure.
Okay, we're done with board reports. We're done with legislative. Operation managers report.
Yeah.
With the monthly demand assessment.
So you can see stuff is starting to go up in the last couple of months, so about 87% of capacity right now. Our treated water production is on average for this time in previous years. Just a quick summary, go through each task, or activity we did. The main work, I'll get to that in a second, I guess. Code activities, just typical line breaks, upgrade at one of the treatment plants to, limit our on-call response, are actually coming into the treatment plant. We have a failure, so we added it's a device that self-cleans the probe for turbidity, so it doesn't trigger alarms with recycled water. So there are pictures for, canal clearing, pipe repair, lateral replacement. Moving on to the CIP, finished up our mosquito fire mitigation prior to our mitigation we had planned for this period, prior to the winter season. So it included the pipe replacement on the Levy Road and just road bank failure. So I had some pictures of that. The Levy Road, which is extremely nice now, is we actually still gain access down there during these times. And I did a final picture of the pipe mitigation before and after the section we did, so you can just kind of see the short section that we piped over, and I just have the erosion control on it. So, we also started working on some of our safety walkways, and as I was sitting here, I realized I forgot to put those in here. So some of our structures is to improve our safety of walking across a narrow plank, now has hand railings for our staff to hold on to, so it's a little safer. We're working on some of our brush killing grizzlies where vegetation gets caught, working on those right now, so I'll probably have some of those pictures next meeting. Also did some ARVs. Those are some simple changes that we do as we have extra time, kind of moving away from the old metal cast iron ones. I mean, these plastic ones are a lot cheaper and really efficient. So upgrading those, that helps pressure throughout our system. It helps relieve pressure at high points so we don't have to do breaks. That's the goal behind those. Moving on to our general activities, continuing with our FEMA reimbursement, working on the Walton Lake dredging project, which is a lot of moving parts of that. So this is going to be a slow, kind of the steps we're going through now is just finishing up the kind of tech memo for FEMA to our on-call engineer. They're developing the scope of work and then doing the environmental that's associated with that. So we can, the kind of the plan is to have a scope outline for FEMA. They're just going to basically issue reimbursement for that work before we do it based on our engineering estimate. December was a big push for the USDA grant disaster assistance for canal piping. That also included engineering report and our environmental review of that. So we have a draft to USDA of the, it's called PER. Can't remember exactly what the P stands for, but PER, so they have that right now, so we're doing that for our application. The environmental has been, the field review has been completed. They're working on the cultural report and using the project description from the engineering report to finalize that to get that over to USDA. So we can hopefully get approved of that application and move forward with this project. We also had our dam safety inspections a couple weeks ago. There's nothing of note out of those inspections, you know, the typical, there's always vegetation clearing, but we actually had all that stuff done. We met all the requirements. We have a couple little issues to work on. Some of our under drains will mitigate those, try to get those done before it starts spilling this year. So, and then the demand assessment, on track for previous years, nothing outside of the ordinary there. That's my report.
Thank
Well,
you.
hold on, there's one more thing that he forgot, and he's humbling himself, I think. This morning, we've got authorization from CAL FIRE for our $1.2 million grant, so we are going to start buying some equipment and starting to look for a forester and a company to start working on some of those fire breaks.
Alexa. Water
Oh,
resources.
there's a question from Victor Thornburg.
We take questions after that.
No, he can take.
No, you don't.
I'm going by what he has to do.
You're trying to make me forget my question. You almost succeeded.
Good.
Purchasing all this equipment still has to be approved by the board, correct?
So it was approved under the CIP. Oh, well, we have to still approve the individual purchase.
Right.
Because you're asking like, we're going to Sourcewell and we're going to have a certain piece of equipment picked out and then the board will approve the purchase of that equipment. Is that what you're asking?
May approve.
Yes.
Yes, that will still happen.
Okay. All right. That was my question.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
December kind of we shift and start doing a little bit more of our CDF maintenance, so we only had 9 routine inspections. We got 1 new plan review that was for a half bathroom that was added into a garage, a new design. Got a new pump tank put in from an escrow, which is good. We did do all of our, well, not all, but most of our cammering for the CDS lines. I got to go out on that. It was actually pretty interesting. We got the inspection for our manholes done. And then you noted in here that he's got union negotiations and other stuff going on. We had our annual water use report turned in January 2nd. That was a new one. Plays on that Lamb irrigated property stuff. It's kind of an interesting one, but there was a lot of notes attached, so we'll get on that. We had 3.65% rain or inch rainfall. Didn't quite make the same as 19, but we're pretty close. And then our weather outlook is the same that it has been forever. Higher temperature, they're expecting wetter this January. Couldn't quite figure out what January they're comparing to, because in the beginning they said 5 years, but I've read 2 years, so I'll have to see what they're looking at. And that's about it. 3.65.
Okay, thank you. General Manager's report?
Yes, for next month, we need if we can get a copy of the water shortage and demand assessments, and I know you're working on the water usage as well. Just so we can have that free report before the April meeting, so.
Okay. I believe it's on my calendar. To get it to you guys. January.
You're about the supply and demand assessment, right?
Yeah, that, yep, so we can, the requirement that it has to be presented to the board and public at least once, so.
Nick?
Yeah, my report's a little light with having just a few weeks. Attended a few meetings down in Sacramento for water transfers. Started with the MCRWA Legislative Committee. That was a new position. Worked pretty heavily on union negotiations for both Local 1 and Local 39. A couple of big notes. Yesterday was the start of the legislative session. We'll be attending state legislative committee meeting for Aqua on the, that's actually supposed to say the 12th. I apologize. It's not the 19th, it's the 12th. And CSDA legislative committee will be my first one. I just was recently appointed to that on the 26th.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any board members who wish to comment on any of the informational items?
Do you have update status on the second reservoir and hydroelectric projects?
I do, but that's just a verbal. So I have been working with PG&E on the hydro. I reached out to a lady by the name of Trinity Burrows, and so we're starting to work on potentiality for interconnection agreements with them. On that, we have been working in the grant committee meetings on finding funding. So we have one portion identified, and we're looking for a second portion, and that would be for approximately $5 to $6 million project to install a hydro on the bottom of Stumpy Dam. What we're trying to do right now is match up a USBR WEEG grant, WEEG, water and energy efficiency grant. That's a 50-50 match. And so if we can find state money through the Energy Commission or others, which our grant writers are looking for right now, we're hoping to get that paid for. So there's a couple options for a second reservoir, and this would be for resiliency purposes. First is to put a small dam behind Stumpy in Pilot Creek to create a holding reservoir behind there. The way our water rights read right now is we have 20,000 acre feet of yearly storage rights, so we can store up to 20,000 acre feet. That doesn't mean what we have in Stumpy. So if we had 10,000 in Stumpy, that would still leave 10,000 to be stored. So you'd fill Stumpy up to 21,000 approximately, and you'd still have 9,000 left to store every year. And so that's one of our goals. And then the second goal is Adam and myself and our water rights water transfer partner has been working on developing Onion Creek reservoir. We have started some of the environmental processes on Onion Creek, which is about a 4,000 to 6,000 acre foot reservoir, which would be south and I guess east of where Stumpy is. So that's the update that we're very diligently working on it now.
Thank you.
Anything? Mike?
No, Robert actually asked the questions I was gonna ask.
Thank you, Robert.
Way to go, Robert. Must be the chair.
I'm in the in-house.
Okay, I'll close our board portion of this and now open it for public comment.
Okay, on the Ox report, can you please start labeling the pictures like upcountry or cherry acres or something, because you don't know where all that is. I mean, you say what you're doing, but which is nice, and it's nice to have the pictures. I mean, just Upper Canal or just something. If that's possible. And then my other thing is there any way that you're gonna start reading meters maybe at 1 month? Or I don't know how those tablets work. Can they be left in the vehicles on? So when they drive by, it's reading whoever's meters in the area or,
We do rate it monthly.
but mine wasn't read monthly.
Yes.
It's read monthly, you just don't get the data monthly.
So, and I can't even go into WaterSmart and see it?
That's in there.
It's in WaterSmart.
Okay, because I'm trying to get in there to find out, because it said I had a small leak.
Yes, it's
So
in
I was
there.
trying to figure out where
Look at the chart. And I'll show you your consumption, your
But
gallons per day.
it does gallons per day, but not accumulative.
Yeah, it doesn't do a cumulative, no. Usually, they'll do a leak alert.
Okay, so for sure now we're doing once a month reading at the end of the month.
Yeah, we've been doing it for about 5 months now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I can't find it, I can email and you can send the, okay.
Any other public comments? In closing public comments, I did have one question from the board is you had sent a meter out to be fixed, tested, figured out what went wrong on it.
And not got a response yet, no. I
Hmm,
mean, we wait 8 months for meters from Neptune, so, not surprised.
shouldn't have paid him. Thank you. Nick, do you have anything you have to say? Thank you.
In regard to that, no.
You want my gavel?
Yeah.
I only can loan it to you for a month. Committee reports. I guess first one up is irrigation committee and Ray's not here. We had an irrigation committee meeting. We were supposed to go to the third Tuesday of the month.
Yeah,
But I noticed we're at it's listed at one, it was on the little sheet that went out with the bills. That it was the second Tuesday.
So we're actually, we, as a committee, they voted not to meet in January and to meet back in
Correct.
February. It's
But then we were supposed to go to the third Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday. Is that not what you were hoping for?
That was the one I thought we had talked about doing, but okay. Anything you have, Mr. Thornborough, on the irrigation
Yeah,
committee?
I'm not sure I like this meeting structure, the change in the times and stuff. Maybe I'll get used to it. So far, I'm not impressed. Our next meeting is February 1st.
No,
No.
we're talking irrigation committee right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, good. Remember what I said, because I don't want to have to repeat it at the appropriate time.
Wonderful. Finance committee, Andy's not here. You're not in it. Do we have any comments from either of the liaisons?
I don't have a comment. I thought that it was,
We went over the investment report.
yeah, that
And
was,
that
it
was
was a duplicate of what was presented to the board.
Yes, I mean, it's done for Mitch. Okay, policy manual.
Committee, we have some policies that are up for review today. And we continue to go through policies and we'll keep bringing them up every meeting.
Thank you. Grant writing committee.
It was canceled, so when,
It was not.
no, the one that's next week was canceled.
So we meet, yeah, but we meet even months.
Yeah.
So the next one will be the 7th. There's a packet, or excuse me, a form in the packet
All right.
that shows awarded, and active, what's been awarded, what's been funded, what's funding possibilities, and then what projects we're looking at. So if there's any other board members that wanted to comment on adding projects or anything like that, there is a list within the packet.
It's on, please.
Sure it is.
I have a question. Again,
Go ahead.
Nick, you talked about the grant for the, CAL FIRE. In the newsletter that you sent out, the grants, the list of grants seems to be short.
Newsletter, so I think I may have only included what was awarded.
Well, I thought all the ones that we knew of what have been awarded.
Hang on, I'm looking at the newsletter right now.
Okay.
It's a good thing I brought it.
Oh, yeah, so you're talking about the amount of money, which was short, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to include the federal appropriation
I
and
didn't get it.
the FEMA grant just yet, because they're still in process, and we haven't received final confirmation on them.
Oh, okay. I thought we had.
They're like, we're like trying to, punch it in to the end zone here. We're doing like the tush push right now, but we haven't quite got across the goal line.
Wow.
Brotherly shout.
I'm not familiar with the tush push. I'm going to require a demonstration of that, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe at another time and date.
Wow. Wow.
Bring your own tush.
I don't know how to recover from this one. Are we done with grant writing here?
Yes.
It's not as bad as the outhouse comment.
The Labor Negotiation Committee, do we have any report from that?
We have not met. We haven't had anything come back from local one as of yet. We're still waiting for the finalization of the MOU changes that they wanted to make. We did meet one time, but I have not met with the labor committee, and because the changes hadn't been submitted to us.
Are you talking about local 1 or 39?
Local one, local 39, we discussed at the last closed session. Local one, I'm just giving an update that we haven't received anything from them yet that we can submit to the board negotiation committee.
Oh, okay.
Okay, are there any more any comments on the board for any of these committees? I will now open it for public comments. I see no public comments. We'll close public comments. Nick, have any more comments? Thank you. Action items. Here we go. Consider budget amendment, possible adoption of resolution. Jessica?
Hello. I'm passing down the updated. I had to add, so we'll go through the PowerPoint presentation of why, all of the whys of the budget amendments. The general and broad explanation is that GASB 96 and 75, they have new government financial reporting that is required for subscription-based services. So all of our subscription software and licenses have to be separate from our other materials and supplies, office supplies, professional services. So that includes anything operations, but also administrative, like the Tyler program, Adobe, Microsoft, as minuscule as your Adobe Acrobat to Cartograph. So all of our software and licensing need to be separate because that needs to be reported to the government as like long-term debt, because we're gonna continue to use it. So they're making us report it differently. So we've created software and licensing. But they were the ones that our CPAs reached out and said, these are now considered software and licensing. So we already budgeted for them. We're not asking for a different budget. We're just moving them out of the accounts they're already in, moving the budget into software and licensing, and then I will move all of those payments into that account. The only three things that are going to be new, or two things, is we didn't budget for the low income assistance program, low income rate assistance program, LIRA. So that's not being, it was overlooked. It wasn't put into the budget. So we're gonna put that back in. And then also, we did have a request per one of our prior resolutions and maybe an ordinance. It's mostly Alexis's, or it's coming. She's got it in one of the action items, but we do need to budget for it, is the septic tank replacement or
Potential.
potential
Loan program.
We're gonna,
loan program.
it's only if there's a change that we're gonna discuss today, so we're not sure how it's going to go, but there is a potential for us offering a loan to a customer in the ALT area.
It's a current, like,
It's a
active
current
program.
practice, yeah.
We just haven't utilized it in years. So that wasn't budgeted for either. I've already set up all the accounts in case it does come to fruition. It's like, it's all ready to go and be monitored and everything's ready to go. So that is included in my budget amendments. I don't know if you need to wait to vote on the budget amendment until after that. Cause I just did the term limit, which is $10,000 a year for all customers. That's all we loan out.
And so that's kind of a misnomer. It is a budgeted item that we have an outlay, but we also do recollect that money back, and it has to be collected back to us within 5 years. And so there is an interest, there is a whole repayment plan, and if they don't repay it within 5 years, then it goes to tax lien and we recover it through tax lien. So it's a net benefit to the district.
Yeah, so I created an expense account and revenue account that have the same amounts in them. They coincide. And then there's also interest receivable. If the loan goes past a year, it accrues a certain percent of interest. Right now on the books, it says 7%. So that would go into interest revenue, interest receivable into the zone area. Anyway, and then, so low income assistance and then this loan expense, that's pretty much it. And the supplemental fees were in the wrong account, so we just need approval to move it from 113 to 112.
You have a question from Director going. Okay, I'm just saying, like, see his hand raised.
I'll get to it.
So if you're looking at this last,
Jesus,
this is everything.
let her staff finish.
I thought
please.
she was done. I'm sorry. I apologize.
And then the PowerPoint presentation will go through each fund and show what's being moved one thing at a time in case people need a lot more detail.
Do we need to go through
I can go through it really fast.
I have questions beforehand.
Sure.
before she finishes?
Yes,
I mean, I'm finished with that part until we start the presentation.
Go ahead and go.
it's on the last form, this, for the loan assistance, income assistance program, the 52109. For those the last one that's amended budget, does that need to shift left, that last one?
No? Oh, are you looking at the one I just gave out?
Yeah,
No, because we don't have a budget for it.
yeah, so the current budget's.
So the current budget is zero.
No, okay, all right.
And then I'm asking to offset it with an expense account
Yeah.
and
I see
a
that.
revenue account,
All right.
because it's already revenue coming out of property taxes. So it's a wash, which it's just a way to track it in the
Yep.
system.
All right, I was just, you didn't have any budget there, we'll start at zero, okay?
And it was set at $35,000, but we haven't gone over 15 or 16,000 in the last 5 years, so I figured we just lower it to 20. It's just a resolution.
Yeah, I don't know.
Say that again?
I think whatever is in the resolution is what we should keep.
Okay, we can keep it at 35,000. I mean, it's not money that's being spent.
Yeah, but we'd have to change the resolution, so.
We can amend that. That's easy.
Okay, are there any,
One question.
go for it.
Is the Are you gonna go over this handout in your presentation?
Yes, this is just pretty much an Excel import that I'll import into Tyler and it does it for me. It shows which accounts it's coming out of, what accounts it's going into, but the slides all show that.
Okay, so I'll ask those questions after.
This is
the
like a cheat
presentation.
sheet for that.
Okay,
So we'll let Jessica finish.
okay, that's what I wondered. Yeah, thank you.
The one thing I'd add for the loan assistance program, we have to review it every June first or July first, so that.
You're talking the low income,
The-
the lira,
Yeah,
yes.
so that's when if we want to change it, so we
That's
can
fine.
put it on for that.
I think it's July,
Yeah, we do it every year.
but I think it's July when we do it. June or July.
Anyway, can we finish with
I
the
think we did it in May
presentation?
one year. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not, go for it. This is the working.
Okay, I guess you just have to tell me when you want it to change.
Go for it. Next slide. So these are all of our revenue sources. Next slide. This is where we're currently at as of, I believe, December 21st or 22nd. Most of 90% of these stats were done on the 21st, and then I went back and fixed some stuff on the 22nd. Yes.
Is the SMUD income a one-time occurrence or?
It
what's-
comes every year,
Okay.
and we were 23,000 over what we budgeted, so more money in the bank.
We don't get told how much we're gonna get before we get it.
Mm-mm.
It's a
Percentage.
it's a calculation that we get. And we get it and the county gets it. So the county gets the money and then they send the money to us and they send the money to EID and the water agency.
All right, so we can't predict what that's gonna
It's
be
very
next
hard.
year.
We just kind of averaged the last 3 years and put that.
Thank you.
How come in-house gets to ask questions and out-house doesn't?
Because they're rude. Let's try again. Jessica, please continue.
Okay, next slide.
Good thing I don't have a gavel.
So this is pretty much where we're at right now. We have almost 60% of the budget remaining for water sales, which means that we're not selling as much water as we anticipated. We also did raise the budget from 2.8 to 3 million, even though we haven't raised rates. So there's that. And irrigation, next water season, because we calculate everything fiscally. The first half of this water season was in last year's revenues, so this year, water year 2024 will then fill in the rest of the irrigation. So we won't even know until everyone signs up again. We haven't gotten any property tax revenue yet. Lease revenue is all our cell towers and everything like that. Verizon, AT&T, CalNet, Comcast. PG&E also gives us some lease money. Interest receivable, that is, I believe that one is just,
That's the interest
but it's just straight water fund. It's not, like the lake disseminates down into all of the different funds, like it's a percentage. So that's not leaf. That might be our actual interest, like our investment interest. And then penalties are just late fees. Grant proceeds, CIP grant proceeds are not collected here, they're collected in Fund 111, so you'll see that in the next slide. And I don't know,
Sale of assets.
sale of assets, so we're at 19,000 so far this fiscal year. Next slide. SMUD, we only budgeted for 110,000, but they sent 133, so that's great. Hydro, right around. It's okay.
Sticky fingers.
Zone charge, supplemental charge. Yeah, I don't know. I think it happens because we are. If I were to do it as of today, or we just sent the billing out, it'll be a lot higher. So because we buy monthly bill, you're gonna skip a month where it's like, oh, we're not getting a lot of money in, but it's because we only bill every other month. Yeah. And then CIP grant proceeds, we've already been awarded $1.5 million, so that's great. Next slide. So this next slide, slide 6, is your cheat sheet. Every single fund is having these issues. These are what I'm talking about with software licenses, general liability insurance. We were notified after the budget was finalized what we would pay this year. The PERS UAL was budgeted correctly as a whole, but the percentage of employees, the percentage that is disseminated through the entire different funds, it was wrong. So to calculate it correctly, that's part of the budget amendment, is we're just moving what we budgeted for 5,100. Half of that goes to 5,200 now, so it doesn't look like we're, oh my gosh, why are we so over? When you total them all up, it's still exactly what we budgeted for, because it's already been paid. It was just the percentages were put in the wrong place or assigned to the wrong fund departments. So this, you'll see on every single fund, slide 6, it says see slide 6, because these are the 4 issues that pertain to 99% of this budget amendment. And so for 5,100, if you go forward, this is just a breakdown of, you'll see green means we're right on target, orange means we're getting close to being over budget, and then red means we're over budget. But there are certain things like PERS, we pay that in full. So it says we have 0% of the budget left because we are not gonna have to pay anything else for the rest of the year. So this was just a breakdown. You can look at these, but when you go to slide 10, next slide. Oh, that's where you said 8. It breaks it down. So I don't feel like it's completely necessary to read verbatim every single one of these slides. It kind of got away from me. I was hoping just to do like 10 slides, and it ended up being like 23. But if you look through, like I said earlier, pretty much the only thing that is noteworthy is the LIRA program and this septic loan expense account. Everything else is just moving things from one place to the other. We actually reduced some of the budget because we know that we overestimated. And if you look at the final tally on this accumulation sheet, we're actually under budget by 10,472 after this amendment. It's less than what you approved previous, which has to do with this light revenue, but. Yeah. I mean, if you go through the slides, it's pretty much, they all say see slide 6. See slide 6. And then it just tells you at the bottom of each one, accumulatively for the entire department, how much of the budget is left.
Were these slides part of the packet?
Yes.
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 Not in
It's
mine, they're not.
it's underneath section 5.
Yeah.
Tab 2.
So just to go through it really fast, 5,100, we have 55% of the budget left, 5,200, 62% of the budget left, 5,300, which is water treatment, 49% of the budget left, 5,400, 51% of the budget left, and 5,600, we have 41% of the budget left, but that's where we take on all the burden of all the unknown costs in administrative, so that's part of the course. And then it goes into detail on 5,600, all the things we're keeping track of, and 6,100 zone that's at 46%. And I'm just looking to see.
Well, I don't have any of that in my binder. I don't have the operations report, water resources report, general manager. I don't have any of those reports.
So that's So that'll be under the second tab with the financials, and then the operations reports came out after, so unfortunately, we emailed them to you.
Oh. Okay. So was this presentation part of what you emailed to me as well?
No, it's underneath tab number 2.
It's in your binder.
Have to.
Tab number 2, I didn't see it there. Let's take a look here. Oh,
Are you,
okay. All right. I still have a question. Or two.
are you done?
I'm done. I was just
Okay.
gonna say after your questions and comments that.
Director Thornborough, do you have any questions?
Eddie Burning, pretty wise there. The septic tank you mentioned, that would be funded out of CDS, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Correct.
Yes.
All right, but that's not part of the, I might be wrong here, but it's not part of the operating budget, is it? It's a separate one? Or is it included in the operating budget? The CDS stuff?
I mean, technically it's a loan repayment program, so it's not costing us anything. If anything, we're making money off of it. It's coming out of the CDS, it's a different fund. It's coming out of Fund 211, which is the CDS M&O fund. So it would just be borrowing from that reserve.
It's not an
Okay.
operating expense, it's a,
It's a reserve account.
yeah.
Okay, what do you mean by borrowing?
They're gonna give it, they pay us back.
And if they don't, they go to tax lien and then we get it back from the county.
It's a net benefit to the district. We're not giving somebody $10,000. We're letting them borrow $10,000 and they're gonna pay it back to us.
And they have to have a notarized
This is on
contract.
that other agenda item, correct?
Yes.
Yes, but we're including it here as well because we wanted to make sure it's part of the budget amendment because we never budgeted for the $10,000.
Okay, well, the one problem I have with the whole thing is my sheet on here that has it all listed. I'm assuming that all these PERS things have been moved around to be charged to different accounts. You know,
That
they
is correct.
spread out over several accounts. Is that what's going on with that?
Yeah, the check's already been cut and cashed back in May.
Okay, but
We
I'm
just-
talking about on this sheet here. See if I
Yes,
can,
we didn't put them in the right, we didn't put them in the right funds, the right amount
Okay.
budgeted for the right funds. So now we're just putting it in the right place.
okay, now at the bottom of all three of these columns, you have total, but you only have one total. So what you're saying is that the total should be the same because the budget amount hasn't changed between column 1 and column 3?
The change is $10,472 in the black.
10,000 what?
$472 less we're gonna spend this year so far.
So the first column is what you already approved in June. The second
Right.
column is what we're changing that amount to.
Right,
And then the third column is the amended or the amount we're changing, and then the amended budget.
So the total of the middle column is all of the changes totaled.
Yeah, so column A goes up, column B goes down, column C goes up. At the very bottom, it shows you the difference we're asking for, which is less money.
well, why does it say 20,472?
Because you got, there's an amended one that came out with with the loan assistance program that added to it. It also got emailed to you.
Okay, but even, so with that figured in, we're still gonna be 10,000 to the good?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
All right. All right,
Are there any more board comments? Director Stovall?
I have a few questions. One on page 16 of the presentation, under 5,600 administration costs.
Mhm.
There's both professional service fees of 363,000 and then audit for 22,000, as was mentioned by the public. Some of those professional services are directly related to audit costs. Is that
That
correct?
is correct.
Okay, and in the future, we can have those. Is it a budget
They're-
issue that?
They're different. So when the professional services, our CPA is not our auditor.
Yeah.
So those audit is directly paid to the auditor, the person who was, you
Okay.
guys as a board chose to audit us. The professional services is, assistance to the auditor.
Assistance, okay. I believe it was on the first page. Let me find it. There was one thing that said that the FEMA grant has been received.
That's the yes, that's the money from Cal Fire.
That's the Cal Fire.
It's the money comes from Cal OES,
All right,
right? Yeah, that's who we submit the grant to Cal Fire, but Cal OES pays us.
okay, I was on slide 22. It says grant FEMA emergency funds awarded. That's the Cal Fire you're talking about.
Let me see, what page is it?
Page 22 of the presentation.
22.
There's a USBR that's awarded, and then it says a grant.
So that is for the work that we've had done, in regard to the fire and the flooding, in the winter of last year. So Adam's been working with FEMA to award, and those numbers aren't correct. The dredging came back much higher than that. And so we were awarded more than that, but that money has been awarded to us.
It has been awarded, okay. And on the capital improvement plan, given the cost of the canal lining, can the input to the canals be controlled to match the water savings and that surplus then sold? Is that a mechanical thing we can do as?
Anything we don't use, we can sell.
Yeah, but we can control the water that goes into the canal so it's not leaking out?
Theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah, okay. So we can see a return on that
Oh, yes.
investment.
I think, the operations for last month kind of detailed that.
Okay, great. And then I have several questions about the loan program. Should I get into those now?
We'll wait until we get to that action item.
Okay, thank you.
So just because you approve the budget right now, doesn't mean you're approving the ability to give this loan. It's just adding that line item to the budget in case we want to give the loan.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Do you have any questions? Mitch, do you have any questions? Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. Sheree.
The fee that we're paying to Georgetown Fire that the county is required, what is that for?
It's a new tax, fire protection agency.
But you're not paying it to Garden Valley or El Dorado County Fire?
Every town has to pay it to their fire department. Any municipality, we're the only
Where you're
municipality.
Because of our
residing,
building.
because your building is here,
Mhm.
and you don't know what it's for, why they.
It's for every property, every parcel that we own, it's in tax, that we've never had to
It's an
pay.
assessment.
Fire protection.
Fire protection, so we have to pay everyone is gonna have to pay it.
Straight for your,
All public agencies
No,
and
everybody.
businesses.
even you.
Yeah, even me at home, I'm gonna have to pay it too. Look at the fine print, they'll add it.
When did you know when they,
Property tax.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
when
right.
did they authorize this? Any idea?
But we got the bill in October.
They probably starting,
Just to go.
yeah, they probably created an assessment.
The county did or the state?
If it was
It would
from the
be a
district,
county.
the district can create their own fire protection
Or district,
assessments,
yeah.
and then they just levy them
Oh, the
on
fire district.
different types of property uses.
Oh, okay.
Any more public comment? Okay, close this for public comment. I guess we're up to,
We would like to have this is we do have a resolution on this, so we
Yeah.
want to approve this because it is a change. And we need to have approval to change these accounts and to accept the new budget numbers. That's nice. I'm
I
asking
move to
nicely.
accept the change in the
hadn't
budget
got that
numbers.
far.
You'll have to accept it with the changing, the line item from 20,000 to 35,000 for the rest.
So in that, yeah, that has to be a change.
Which won't change the bottom line at all.
Yeah, what you can do is just adopt the resolution as presented and just detail the specific change you want. And then they can make whatever changes they need to.
Just, you can just reference the resolution regarding the.
Yeah,
We don't have one yet.
Do we have a motion?
I think the motion would be to accept the budget amendments with the current low income rate assistance program dollar amount that is
$35,000.
of $35,000, which is located in the
your-
resolution.
Yeah, so moved.
A second?
Seeing if anybody in telephone wants to second. Second.
Does anybody on the,
We already got it.
I got a second.
roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. Director
Oh,
Stovall,
Aye.
Director Saunders,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough,
All right,
and President McDonald.
So moved. Ooh, this is rough. So now we're on to, item 8B. Consider the adoption of policy 2215. Presenter is, Nick.
Sure. So, I have, Adam with me as well. Adam worked on this with, Gloria, to develop the asset management program, and then it was also heard at the policy committee level, so I'm hoping that you guys will hop in and offer some, insight as well. This is a policy to develop a look at what assets the district has, what pieces would need replacing, how often we look at those types of things, what different projects and capital improvement plans. So this is kind of an all-encompassing plan to look at our assets and how the district sees those as a whole. So Adam, I'd just like to maybe turn it over to you to give some color on what you and Gloria worked on, and then turn it over to the policy committee for some comments.
Yeah, so basically it's doing is really setting a kind of formalizing what we have been, progressing for the last couple of years is having not only studies like the castle study that will kind of detail what our critical infrastructure is, the useful remaining life, also with our like the asset inventory, what we have with our cartograph and open gov system where we can track our work to it, we can do inspections on to get a real-time assessment. And this kind of lays out, what parameters we'll be looking at, and then prioritize, what we need to prioritize yearly as we go into our CIP development. So it's really, I think it's just kind of formalizing what we've been working towards the last few years and putting it down on paper. We can really move forward and have a good idea of what the district needs to maintain the level of service we're at.
Any board comments?
Policy committee input. So, one of the things that we know from our last, rate study when we were looking at the assets, so that's why we got the cartograph, programming system, so we can, track all of our assets and to keep track of all of the maintenance when, they're due for repair versus replacement. And the other things that we added in was, a priority list. So this way, when projects come to our CIP, they can be prioritized, so we know which ones we should do first, depending on the funding. And some things will have to be done first based on, health and safety or government regulations, so those will be prioritized first, and then they'll go lower, as we can see. So the other thing that this does, it also provides a 3-year report of all of the capital assets to the board. So we'll get a reporting of all of our assets will be reported to us. And it also helps identify how we program out our CIP as well. So this is a pretty exclusive one that'll cover all of our assets from project design to implementation to repair and maintenance. So it's a pretty good overall policy that encompasses everything.
Do any other director comments? Director Thornborough, sorry.
has the castle study been completed?
Not quite.
Like 99%.
It's nearly there.
It's like a 5-year affair.
Year and a half. We did go through a fire though.
So yeah, that was part of it was he assessed everything before the fire, and then he had to go back up and reassess after the fire. So that was part of the delay.
Oh, all right. My other question is in, page 1, section 2215, -02. I'm a little confused on this where it says each year the district shall review its 5-year CIP, a budgeting and planning tool which supports actual appropriations that are made through the adoption of the operating budget. The operating budget is separate from the CIP.
It's still appropriating money from the operating budget into a CIP plan. So when you take money and you put it aside for the CIP, it is still coming out of the ultimate operating budget.
We're not doing that as part, that's not
Which-
part of the operating budget.
That's what, when we do the funds transfer, that's what we're talking about in that right there.
But that's not in the actual operating budget.
It's not saying it's in the operating budget, it's an appropriation. You take the operating budget as a whole, and then you, once you're done with it, you appropriate a piece of it to the CIP.
Director Thornborough, as you go through, so I made sure it's added in that, like in, number 2, that, it's the initiation of the CIP budget planning process. And then as all the way throughout, it says all funding should come out of the capital reserve. So there's several places in there which says that it comes through the capital reserves and the capital budget and not the operating. So I made sure that was defined throughout. So if you look at C, D, and E, that language
Okay,
is in.
well, I just wanted to point that out because it doesn't seem right to me, but you're okay with it, I'm okay with it.
I had that argument as well, yeah.
I think what the key is you still have to appropriate that money from somewhere, because the capital reserve doesn't have a way of getting money in it. Except through the operating budget. So you have to put the money into the operating budget and then it gets appropriated into the CIP budget. Does that make more sense?
I've never seen that part being the budget that we go through and approve.
Well, when you do like the funds transfer, that's what we're talking about, is where this is basically appropriating through the funds transfer into the CIP program.
Okay,
I think what he's getting confused is says made through the adoption of the operating budget. I think if it just said made through the process of the adoption of the operating budget. Then yeah, I mean, you're saying the same thing. I think that's just, it's a process thing that happens to make the CIP budget. It's not
well,
necessarily.
why'd you automatically assume I'm confused?
Cause you're in the outhouse.
Yeah.
I could stay here, you know.
I second
You
that.
can only stay there. You only stay there 2 times a year, actually. So.
Oh, all right, Robert, I heard that. You liking my chair more than yours, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Once it's higher, you know, I like being elevated.
Director Scovel.
I just want to compliment you on the thorough work that you've been doing on this. It shows a lot of work, really codifying what is best practices, and glad to see this go into the future.
I would say Adam really put a lot of time into this, so give him a ton of credit, and then the policy committee for going through it.
Thank you.
Are we done with the board comments? Public comments? Closing public comments? Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to adopt the Georgetown policy 2255-15, referring to asset management.
Do I have a second? There's Lisa. Roll call vote, please.
So are you going with Thornborough on the second?
Donald.
McDonald, okay. Okay, Director Stovall,
Aye.
Director Saunders,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough,
Aye.
and President McDonald.
Did everybody leave us? Oh, there she is. Okay, we are at item 8C. Consider adoption of policy 2405, press relations. Nicholas?
Yes, this item a policy that we have not had before regarding who is the authorized person to talk to the press, the district, which would be myself or the general manager in the future. This is just to direct staff not to address any press or to step out and speak without basically speaking with me first, making sure that they have the correct what's what we're looking for, the correct information going forward. So this is just real simple, talks about who should and who should not talk to the press. It does not cover board members. I do not control whether or not the board members speak to the press. That is completely up to you. But I would hope that most board members would refer questions back to the district unless they would like to answer the question themselves. I, again, cannot control that.
Do we have any board comments? Oh, Mitch. Mitch, unmute yourself.
Thank you. Approximately a year ago, more or less, Gloria was given monthly board reports to the Gazette and Mountain Democrat. And occasionally I get some phone calls in the past year for comment or clarification, verification, or just a heads up on things. In the last few months, I hadn't heard anything. And then just recently I inquired and didn't know there was a better way of communicating or a more standardized way. And so I was just enlightened to the new process now as far as the hierarchy and the chain of command and a focal point of distribution or control. That all makes sense. So I just want to let you know that in previous to that, Michael Saunders was in part of this too when she began doing that, because we were getting any press we did get seemed to be neutral at best, and we wanted to, instead of have it being a rumor mill, the goal was to have it direct from the district, which in that time was Glory, and it went to the paper. And so, because I hadn't seen it lately, I wondered what changed, and now I understand. So that's the only thing I wanted to say, how it started, and didn't know why it stopped. And that's all my comment I wanted to make about that.
Director Thornborough?
Yeah, first, Mitch, I think are you talking about just talking to other people or actual press? Because this is about the press.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thanks for clarifying that. I'm thinking actual people operating the digital and hard copy press. So it's not reporters per se.
Okay, well, my question is, or I guess statement, is in here it talks about that the employees can't talk to the press without the authority of the general manager. I think that needs to be tightened up. I think that no employee should talk to the press unless they're in the presence of the general manager.
That's fine. We can, that's probably a good catch on wording, verbiage. Typically what I was referring to is I would be sitting with them while they're being talked to by the press, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna, I have the right
I
person.
kind of thought that's what your intention was, but in reading it, when reading through the whole thing, there's kind of like, I think it needs to be a little tightened up.
That's fine. I think that's a good change.
Director Saunders?
Yeah, I was just gonna clarify, we used to have a reporter that would come to all of our meetings, and when Dawn Hudson retired, the other person came once, then he left, so we don't have a reporter that shows up to our GPUD meetings anymore. So we were sending out our press releases monthly, and now we do it as needed, so.
Yeah, I'll clarify what Director McDonald was asking about. We had a kind of a download of what happened at the board meetings. And it was all the kind of big events that happened at the board meetings, and we would have a lot of verbiage, and it was probably more than we needed. And I understand why it was being done for a while, is because we were getting negative press and we wanted to show that we were doing good things. We've been sending out the newsletters, which is encompassing basically what we were doing before. So now we're using this as the vehicle to get all of the information out. And now we're trying to give out press releases as we have things happen. So Liz has taken on writing a lot of the press releases. So like when we got the money from Senator Gill, we put a press release in for that. When we got the money for Cal Fire, we put a press release in for that. We also put a press release in for some of the firework that we were doing. So in my outlook on how we deal with the press is maybe sound cliche, but less is more sometimes. And we want to meter what's going out. And so if we can put out something that is positive for the district, and we don't need to put it out all the time, it's going to be in the best interest of the district.
Any more board comments?
We have one from Drew.
Oh, Mike,
Hey, Nick, are they charging us for those? When we go put those in the paper, are they charging us for those?
So they were charging us for the monthly. When we would put the monthly one in, they were charging us. When we put a press release in, they do not charge us.
All right. That's good. Thanks.
closing board comments, opening for public comments.
So is this totally separate from the employee's social media policy?
Correct.
Yeah. No more public comments.
I think the only motion would be to amend that, whoever makes the motion to amend that word from authority to presence.
Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 2405 on press relations with the amendment for authority to presence.
Second.
Seconded by Mitch. Roll call vote, please.
Director Stovall,
Aye.
Director Saunders,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough,
Aye.
and President McDonald.
Okay, we're up to review of zone loan program.
So I'm gonna start this off. I do have Alexis in the room who can add any color. This is not a large change. Alexis came to me in regard to this. I didn't even know we offered this, so this was an education for me as well. A customer who is in ALT requested a loan assistance to replace their septic tank, which is something that we have offered in the past. One of the issues that I saw when I read the documents was it was very, very specific to the CDS area. So I requested a legal review from both Frank Splendorio and one of his partners, Joanna Jin. So Joanna and me worked on this last week to determine whether or not the original ordinance was legal. And we don't necessarily think it was because it didn't include any of the non-CDS folks. So the change that we're requesting here is to be less restrictive on who can apply for these loans. And it would include anybody within the ALT zone fund that can now apply for one of these loans. They do max out at $10,000. They do have a repayment plan. This was used multiple years ago, and it did provide a net benefit for the district. I mean, we're not talking about, we weren't making money, you know, like banks and, you know, loaning out money. So we had lots of money coming back in, but it didn't cost the district any money. It was a net benefit. So what we would propose here is a change from CDS only to receiving these loans to anybody within the ALT proper could get one of these loans, as long as they're part of the zone fund. Alexis, if I missed anything, you want to add anything?
No, I mean, other than there are multiple things they have to go through before we don't just give them this loan. Like it has to be a failure of their system. They have to prove a hardship and a couple other things. So, I mean, he covered all of it pretty much, but we're not just gonna have somebody call and say, oh, hey, I can't pay, give me this money.
Board comments, Mike Thornborough.
Is this, how often have we done this in the past? When was the most recent time we've done this? Cause I never knew about this either.
5 years ago,
I didn't either.
I think we went back and looked. It was like 5 years ago was the last one was paid off.
I think so.
And how long did it take them to pay it?
So they have 5 years to pay it off. And it goes through a progression of 1 and 2 years. Is a certain set standard where we hope that they pay it off. And if they don't pay it off within 5 years, it goes to the tax lien and then it becomes part of their taxes.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about any collection agencies or anything like that.
Negative.
All right. So, and out of curiosity, how did you guys be made aware of this?
Somebody came and requested it.
Well, it's on one of our resolutions
in
that
there.
I deal with all the time for escrow inspections, and I just hadn't really read all the way through it until, I had a customer. They bought a house from a realtor that waived their escrow inspection, so we got wind of it during an annual, which you're not allowed to waive it, but he told the people that bought the home from him that you could. So we did an annual for them and found out that their tank is leaking and needs to be a full replacement. And then I knew a little bit about it. I wasn't sure when we did it or how we did it, but that's what started this whole ball rolling, was that we did offer a loan. It just was very inclusive to CDS, so.
All right.
Mitch?
Could you clarify for me the zone number reference with the loan programs associated with?
So I'm not sure I understood your question. I think I missed a word that you were saying.
Maybe I incorrectly spoke. Where in the budget, in the CDS budget for wastewater is this loan program? Where is this located?
So it'll be located underneath the reserve account for the zone. So fund 200, and then the subsection would be 211. And that is where it's basically the same as the CIP fund for the zone. So it pays out of there and it gets repaid into there.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yep, it's also every time we come through the reserves, that language is in there that we do provide this loan, and I know no one's asked it, and having it inclusive is pretty important because we always check the non-CDS and put it on them as well if there's any repair. So this is pretty significant that we do this.
Dr. Stoll?
I had several questions. It seems like I'm not alone. I'm kind of being unaware of the situation. And so I'm interested in, it says in here, possible action, review zone program and provide direction. So my recommended direction is to provide it to the finance committee to get some perspectives. Because I don't have the perspectives. Is it appropriate to have the homeowners association have any input on this?
The resolution's already there.
It's already existing. It's an existing program that we have. All we're doing is when legal reviewed this, like I said, I had questions because it was CDS exclusive and I wanted to see if I was interpreting it correctly. And Ms. Jin said it's discriminatory because it's in one section it says ALT and then in another section it says CDS specific. So all we're doing is opening it up to CDS to the
Beyond
whole
CDS,
ALT.
to the whole
Yes,
zone.
correct.
And one of my questions, legal counsel, we've taken care of that.
Oh, yes. I would say Joanna was amazing in working on this. It was very, very helpful.
Am I correct in assuming that any staff time associated with these loans would be allocated to the CDS or that restricted fund? I know that, I'm sure staff on outside,
It would be minimal. I would say it, yeah. Should, yeah. We can work on,
it may not be cost beneficial to track that.
there's a way to do it inside, our labor management program. I'm trying to think of the name, ADP.
That's what I figured because it's,
And probably go to new design or inspection, so
I
you
think
would.
he's referring to with like Jessica's time.
Oh.
Be,
the
It's
loan issues.
included in the chart down here.
Okay.
It's my time, Brian's time, and then there is, other staff time included in this, so I could track it on there.
And then a final, and this may be again for legal, would it be appropriate for those board members that are residents of ALT to abstain voting on this because they could directly benefit from this program.
That's it.
That's true.
How many,
One,
One.
I don't know.
No,
that's,
just Mitch.
no, oh, yeah, just.
well,
Does he move?
it's very possible that, the total number of residential properties, for example, or properties that the district serves. This is a certain percentage of it. This is a percentage of the total demographic that exceeds the thresholds and the FPC regulations without doing the demographic,
It's 1,100 connections.
1,100 total.
And there's,
1,136 connections and the total connections for the district is 3,700.
so it's about,
So it's almost, it's like, yeah, it's about a third.
Yeah.
Okay, then he's free to vote on it. The concept is he's allowed to vote because it affects the public generally, and the public generally, as relates to any real property interest, is 15%.
Okay,
So he's free to vote on it.
how are you done?
is this something that the HOA would be,
They have no say in it.
we have no say? Is it, does anybody support the idea of having the finance committee look at it?
So we do have an application that's pending and we could bring it to the finance committee if that's the way the board would like to go. We would just tell the customer that they'd have to wait.
Okay.
I have questions.
Mike has questions.
He already had questions. My turn. So on this, this all has to go through the county, correct?
No, that's just from us, right?
Okay, let's try again. They have to go to the county and get a permit to be able to replace their septic tank.
No, we are the county in this instance.
We went,
So they don't have any county permits
No.
or anything, any requirement
That's what we. with
to
the
meet
WDR.
standards for.
That's why this is the same argument that we had.
we went down that road.
Okay, then the other question I had real quick is if they apply, they have I'm assuming they get an estimate. They want the money.
Yep.
When do we give them the money? Is that after it's completed?
Yes. I believe the estimate was $13,000 for this project, and so they'd be getting up to 10, whatever they asked for.
Okay, and then if they sell it right after that,
They would.
are we leaning them?
Yes, we're leaning them that way.
So we're gonna have like a mechanics lien on the property until they pay
It's
off.
part of the process. It's part of the documentation that they are basically on the hook for this money through a lien. And then if they don't pay it off in the first year, they get basically 1 year interest free.
No, I'm just saying if they sell,
Yeah, it's.
okay, that there's a lien on it so that when it goes through escrow, everything gets tattooed. Okay, I'm sorry. Your turn now.
One thing is the non-CDS already pays for the reserve, so that's why one thing it's good that they're able to use it. The other thing in terms of going to the finance committee, the finance committee can look at overall the loan program, but when it comes to individual people, only the board has that authority, so it can't go to the board for individual person. Can this person get that loan? They can look at the overall.
Okay,
But that has to be a board decision if we're gonna do it that way.
thank you for the clarification.
Okay, Mike, Thornborough?
Are we gonna, is there gonna be kind of like a 20-day prelim filed? You know, as process of a mechanics lien, where, if I'm not familiar with it, it's where we go in and say, hey, we got this loan or something here, and I know it usually applies to contractors, but it seems to me that we need something, I just want to make sure we got something in advance that, so that if the people, like Donna said, if they go and sell it, you know, and the lien's not on it yet, then there needs to be some kind of a, something attached like a lien that says, hey, there's this outstanding thing to GPUD, so that the house doesn't get sold and the whole thing gets away from us. You know what I'm saying?
Frank?
I'm sure we have the ability under the terms of the law. There's no state statute like the contract mechanics liens. There's no prelim notice. There's anything like that. But it is
Okay.
set forth based upon our own parameters and conditions in our own program. And I'm sure our program has those basic rights to lien whatever interest we have that's unpaid.
I guess,
But
do we do
that-
that?
that
That's
was
kind of, that's kind of my point is that if it gets sold and there's still monies owed and there
Yeah.
isn't any kind of a lien or anything on it,
No, it's a good point, and I've been fooled before, but I would be shocked. I mean, it would be it'd be really bad practice to not have a program that had some kind of collection mechanism through that way. So we can absolutely look into that, but
okay.
I'm sure
Alright.
it's, yeah.
So do we have any more board comments?
Well, I think regardless too, we still get our money back through the taxing stuff, like even if it's,
Through the assessments.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably the recourse then, because assessments are actually preferable over liens, because liens, as you know, they go on the property, you may never see it unless the property changes hands.
Yeah.
Assessments go on the tax roll and people are incentivized to pay those, because if not, then the property could eventually go up on a tax sale by the county.
So
So
like
that collection method
documented
is actually,
Yeah. like even
in
like-
our,
yeah,
Even if you have like a $12 water bill that you didn't pay, it goes on your taxes.
yeah, so if that's the collection method, that's even
It comes
preferable
back.
to the
Okay.
lien.
All right, as long as there's something that
hook.
that makes it so they can't sell the house without there being any kind of record of this loan at the county level.
It says in, I believe it's section G
Yeah.
of the ordinance, or the resolution, excuse me. That it references the lien. It says, a lien of a bona fide encumbrance of value has been created, attached thereon prior to the date on which such delinquent charges appear on the assessment roll, and then a lien which would otherwise be imposed by the section shall not be attached to such real property, and the delinquency, unpaid charges relating to such property shall be transferred to the unsecured roll for collection. Any of the outstanding amounts collected are to be credited to the funds of the zone.
That's kind of, I read that, but that's kind of my point, okay? If, say you loan them the money, you set them up a repayment plan. Okay, and so they're making these payments. It wouldn't be, nothing would, according to the way this is written, nothing would be recorded until they're delinquent with their payments. Is that correct?
Just after a year.
Yeah.
That's the way it reads.
It would be on their bill though, all that information. So if you tried to sell the home, we'd catch it during the escrow inspection process because one of our admins is very close on that, like the final read of the meter, the last bill, like all that stuff. gets
Okay, yeah,
brought up.
yeah.
So
That's
it would be caught. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily show as delinquent, but that loan money would be on there and then that would red flag everything.
She cannot retire.
And then it would probably make them not wanna buy the house. So,
I still think needs to be something on the county record showing this. Well, you know. I don't know if there's such a thing as, I don't know what it's called, Frank, when you have something on your property that says, you know, hey, you got this loan or something. Yeah, and the way this is written is nothing, it appears that nothing happens until they're actually delinquent.
It says, well, wait, each property owner who participates in the district's loan program shall agree that the loan amount shall be fully repaid in the event of the sale or transfer of the real property to a third party.
And it also
Yeah.
has it prior to,
so they,
the date on which such delinquent charges appear on the assessment, it still goes on the roll. So even if before a lien, it would still be on the assessment roll, whatever's owed, so. I think
Okay,
it's-
yeah, make note of my concern.
Yep.
Because to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's like you go and you agree to a credit card, and yeah, you sign a thing saying, yeah, I agree to pay the payments on the credit card, and then you don't. Okay, but you know, when you're talking this much money, I think we need a little bit more protection than the tax lien, because it seems to me, I understand what Alexis is saying, but you know, that's not a casting in stone kind of thing, you know, for me. Anyway,
Yes, it
okay,
is.
move on. I voiced my opinion.
The quotation,
Mhm.
just remove it.
Yeah, we can take-
Are we done with, board comments?
Yes.
Public comment.
I'm totally confused now, but I would put the loan on and the lien, do both. Actually, both ways. You just have to record it with the recorder. But it would have to be in the resolution.
Mr. Miller.
Speaking for the committee, I think that us going through it on the finance committee is a very, very good idea.
Close the public comment.
What would be, let me reframe this. If, assuming this goes to the finance committee, it would put off the loan application that is currently presented to the district. And that's the only consequence of having the finance committee look at it.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, in order to get the loan, they have to have completed the process,
With, the process,
completed the repair.
they would have to be under contract to have the repair completed.
And permitted and everything.
But we're the permitting
okay.
agency.
Is there a situation where this is a public health issue as it stands today?
I would ask.
It's a conventional system, so yes and no. Conventionals have good soil, so we're hoping that because this tank is leaking, it's still being
Percolating.
filtered.
I mean,
But as public health and safety definition goes, yes, it's under it, because the tank is broken.
yeah, I mean, the other option is the board could just approve it as is today and direct the finance committee, make any necessary amendments and bring it back. So that way this application can still get processed under the current program, but any necessary tweaks or changes, improvements can still be made for future applicants. So I mean, that's an appropriate motion to make as well.
Could we add in a bullet that says upon initiating the loan, a tax lien will be placed upon the property?
See, I don't know if we can place a tax lien on the property on initiation of loan. That could cloud title. That could slander title, because the reality is what you're telling the public is, you're telling prospective buyers is there's a lien on the property for amounts that are unpaid. So, I mean, I prefer that we approve it as is and then spend time to thinking, because we just add something on there, could potentially slander title. Because just to put note, you know, there may be we may be able to record some kind of notice. So it goes on, I mean, what we're really concerned about is making sure that the public and potential buyers and stuff are aware of this.
There's a loan.
Well, who's gonna get so if I'm buying the property from you. And the transaction goes through and it gets slipped,
A new homeowner.
then who's gonna pay for the delinquent loan that's on that property I just bought?
The new homeowner pays.
The new homeowner will get stuck with it.
That's what these people just went through, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's the only problem with that is
And the
that,
problem with that is, I mean, I know we're trying to help out, but this is a civil matter where sellers are not disclosing and not doing
Yeah.
their responsibility. And really, that
they could go back.
buyer has recourse to go after the
Yeah,
seller.
that's true.
Which I think is part of their plan, but
Yeah,
they
right.
need to get
So they
it
could do that
fixed
then.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if there are things we could do to help improve to prevent that, I mean, sure, it's absolutely worth looking at. If there is a situation that's a quasi health issue right now, my simple recommendation is before we just throw something on there that may not be advisable, it may be better just to adopt it as is with direction to look at this issue at the finance committee.
Do you have a question on that, Bruce?
Director Thornborough?
Are we, if we do this loan, well, number one, they're gonna be required to use a licensed contractor, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and the licensed contractor will be putting a mechanics lien on it until he gets paid. Are we loaning the money? We cut the check, we agree to loan him this money, say it's 13,000 or something like that. who are we cutting the check to? Are we cutting the check to the contractor? Or are we cutting it to the homeowner? Cause I'd be a little bit concerned about that.
I believe we give it to the homeowner.
Hmm.
Because our agreement is with the homeowner, not with the contractor.
I don't necessarily agree that it would be a finance committee thing, but I'm with Frank in that. I think we need to explore legal things that would be out of the scope of the finance committee. I think we should do legal issues, but I also have another question I tried to ask earlier. Is you said there was 136 people that are eligible for this right now, and now there's gonna be 1,100? Is that what you said?
Well, there's 137 CDS customers.
Right.
There's 1,136.
There's 900 on-site wastewater homes inside ALC. There's 137 on the CDS right now. So
Okay,
this
so my
is not-
question is, you're adding 900 to people that are available to borrow this money?
if they meet the requirements of their system is failing, which through annual reports, we don't have that many that are failing.
And they also have to be disadvantaged.
Yeah, they have to prove a hardship
Right,
and some
no,
other.
I understand all that. This is my question, though. My question is that it says in here, as funds are available. Now, is there gonna be a fund limit on how low it can go that we would loan this money out against, or is that gonna be established? You know, say you got like 10 people wanting to do it, and there's not that much money in there. There's gonna be a limit on how low we want that reserve to go from this loan program, I would think.
They would be at the discretion of the general manager.
Okay,
And,
so
and
there's
it comes,
not an actual minimum amount that is required to be in that reserve that we can't, jeopardize through loans.
I don't think so. I don't think that we have any limit set up for that reserve fund currently.
What happens if something happens catastrophic and we need the reserve fund?
Well, we have other reserve money that we could use in the zone. The only money we can't use in the zone is the water fund reserve money. But any of the property tax reserve fund, we can use there.
All right,
So you just can't take fund 100 and fund anything in fund 200 and vice versa. But any of the other funds, so the interest money that comes in, the property tax money, any of the hydro money that comes in, any of the other funds, those are all non-restricted funds. So we
Yeah.
could use any of those in a catastrophic emergency.
okay, now repayment on these loans, is that gonna be structured as a monthly payment, or? Cause you said they have
Yes.
like 5 years to pay it back, so that you
They
have
get
to.
They get an amortization chart. They get 1 year interest free. After the first year, it's 7% interest.
All right,
Just to clarify, there's a limit of anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
It's 10,000. So when you're talking about where it says they cost anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the limit is $10,000,
$10,000.
but we don't pay more than the cost. They have to submit a quote to us. So we're not gonna give them 10,000 if their quote is 7,000.
And it's also subject to available funding.
That is correct. And it's, they're gonna have to present everything to the district and I have to sign off on it. So if they submit something that says it's $7,500, I can't approve a $10,000 loan to them.
I have another public comment, since public didn't get closed. Mr. Miller?
Being an ALT resident, being a non-CDS ALT resident, I don't understand why we would expand it. And I guess my question is, I understand the CDS because that's a system that's all tied into one. But my system is tied into me, not into anybody else. And so there's a logic to having a loan process that will keep the CDS operational because it impacts 130 people as opposed to me. So I guess my first question would be, why would we do this at all? my answer back to the person in ALT would be, because it's a group system and you're on an individual system, and so we don't want to penalize 129 people because the 130th person didn't get it fixed. So that part I understand. I don't understand why that needs to kick over to somebody who's got an individual individual septic system. I would not expand it. From what I've heard and what the possibilities are and the oversight that's going to be required, I don't understand the rationale for why we do it at all.
Well, the permit covers everybody, so if there was a mishap on an on-site wastewater home, such as yours, for instance, it could affect everybody underneath that WDR, whether it's CDS or anything. So if you become a public health and safety nuisance, the state could fine all of it, which would be us, which would come down to you guys.
Then why isn't the thing applicable to everybody in the district as opposed to just?
Because our
everybody in ALT?
WDR only covers
It only covers
ALT.
the ALC, doesn't cover everyone in the district.
Well, I understand that, but the ramifications of what she just said affects everybody.
The money will only come out of.
But it'll
If I live next door to my neighbor and we both have septic systems and mine goes south on me and it's impacting him. I'm just struggling with the logic. I mean, I think it's a nice gesture, but I think that there's a whole lot of questions that need to be answered to make it a viable system. And outside of ALT, I don't understand, outside of the CDS system, since if my septic system, regardless of whether I live in ALT or in Georgetown, if my septic system is next to you and I'm not getting it fixed, that impacts you just like if I'm in ALT and my system doesn't get fixed, it affects you.
We don't have a regulation on those. That would be the county who would handle that. We are the county in this instance of dealing with ALT, so we have to think of the picture globally.
Well, yeah, that involves a whole nother discussion about that you and I have had, so. Okay, that's just my point, is I see the rationale for not accepting it to the individual, but accepting it to the CDS system. And I mean, I say that because I'm not on the CDS system. I mean, it's not a benefit to me, or it's not really any more of a detriment than I've always thought that I had.
And so there's also some contradictions inside the old ordinance that basically says the CDS fund, and unfortunately, there is no CDS fund. There's kind of a box that we have set up as a district, but it is the zone fund. Because CDS money can move from CDS to non-CDS easily. Non-CDS money can move to CDS easily. The whole fund as being zone is what they call a restricted, what's the word I'm looking for? Enterprise fund. So the whole enterprise fund is the whole thing. We have set up individual boxes here at the district. And what we're saying here is it's not legal the way it's set up.
It needs to be one box.
It really is one box.
You're not really expanding it, you're just conforming to what it should be in
making it
the
right.
first place. You rather than say it's expanded now, you would say it was I don't want to say illegal, but illegally
Unfair.
illegally cutting out others before.
It's
We're
discriminatory.
not expanding the rights, we're just conforming to what they should have been originally.
Under the permit,
Yes.
and because all of ALT is under the state permit, and that's what this is expanding to be incorporated in, under the NPDS permit that we have to, maintain.
So in conclusion, what we're proposing here is to conform to what's.
It should have been.
Should have been.
We're making it what it should have read. Not that they did anything
I looked
wrong.
at it as expanding and
Yeah,
now.
they didn't do anything wrong. The language was incorrect.
Okay.
And that's because if you read all of the different documents, it contradicts itself. And so we're taking out the contradiction.
I think to the point that was made, there was an emphasis in the resolution to make sure that obviously CDS is important. And it somehow, when they got to section 2, they swapped out, and it could have just been simple as a typo, they swapped out zone for CDS. Because that was probably the main artery that everyone was concerned about, for the reasons stated earlier. At the same time, under our permit, our duty is to the whole all the systems that are at ALT.
Yeah.
Whether it's through the collective system or not.
Dr. Saunders.
Yes, for impact, so what's our average failure of septics that we report a year?
I'm just about to do the annual, so I can get to that next board meeting. I'll have that, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, I see it's been about 3 to 5 most in some years, so.
I mean, we follow we do watertight tests on the CDS homes for infiltration, but I'm pretty sure I pull the stats on our annual for everybody.
And then it would only be those that qualify, so even if 5 fail, maybe 1 or 2 might qualify, so it wouldn't be everybody as well, so.
I'd say off the top of my head, we probably have 3 that are failing. What would qualify from that, I don't know, because I don't think a lot of them can file for hardship, but we have to see.
Is the hardship, who makes the hardship decision?
It's I think it's general management policy.
It's a subjective district decision?
The
Don't you have to go
district-
through the county for that?
We are the county.
We are the permitting body, remember?
No, not for the hardship thing.
As it was
No.
That's
written
my question.
previously,
Anything within
the district agrees to provide individuals who can demonstrate financial hardship or other extenuating circumstances for the deferred payment plan. That's the old ones, I don't know if that's still.
I think
So
that.
they have to-
that hasn't changed.
They have to submit documentation.
It's a discretionary decision, but they have to submit. And it has to be based upon the paperwork and evidence submitted, and has to be a reasonable decision. It can't be arbitrary, it can't be capricious. You know,
Wouldn't it be through the same way that they get assistance now for paying their bill? Wouldn't that be the same process?
It'd be one of the ways they could submit. There's multiple different ways they could submit.
I think the intent is probably to give, and I guess you would be making the final decisions on those, Nick.
Yes.
I think the intent is to give your staff, your GM, the flexibility in certain situations where they may have certain documentation, but not others, but there may be other things they can provide. And you can kind of make a holistic assessment as to whether there's hardships. I think that's the intent, why the language is written that way, to provide that flexibility. But it has to be a bona fide hardship, and it has to be legitimate, and it has to be supported by evidence.
I think we'll be opening ourselves up for some issues if we do it that way. I think it should be kind of ironclad, like we have to have, they have to have certain certifications, like from PG&E, for example, saying that their hardship in order to get the assistance paying their bills. If you leave it up to somebody in the district to say, yeah, okay, yeah, you classify, we're convinced you're classified as hardship. And then somebody else comes in and you deny them, then they say, well, how come you approved them? You didn't approve me. And to me, there seems to be a standardized set of requirements that everybody has to follow. And we can use somebody else's setup, for example, PG&Es or you know what I'm saying? I don't think that we should leave it up to us to make that decision, because I think we're gonna run into we have the potential of running into some problems.
I mean, that's valid.
I would agree, because right now the hardship definition that the district makes is a duplicate of PG&E. We
Yeah, we do. If you submit
we
care, then
allocate them
you.
to make the decision.
I would say that's fine. What we would have to do is I would expand it. That would be one metric. I would say multiple metrics could be used to determine this, because not everybody does that. Not everybody, utilizes the care program or our LIRA program, but there are other ways to define hardship.
And that's what I meant by the county, because I think the county has something like that we could piggyback on.
Well, you could use the poverty level, there's the
Federal poverty.
Well, there's metrics that the state uses for determining what a disadvantaged community is. And you could utilize those metrics.
I was just gonna add that, the resolution doesn't have any language for hardship
No,
in there at all.
that's what I was noticing.
It's just based on availability of funds and whether we approve them or not.
I mean, that's fine, that's a valid concern, I'd say.
I'm in favor of kicking it to the finance committee for two reasons. One, to kind of empower them and looking at this issue and also having multiple perspectives that may not be at this table.
I would say, this table is the perspectives for the district, but I would say, that we, approve the resolution with the amendments, because it's just,
Are you making a motion?
I am just making
Discussing.
a discussion. My recommendation.
I'm trying to get it moving. That's why.
I agree.
I appreciate that.
My
It's gone
recommendation
down.
would be to approve the resolution with the amendments, because this is to, change, issue that is excluding people from it's CDS versus zone. And then after that's done, then we will give it to the finance committee to look and see, what things we need to put in terms of hardships, in terms of, what numbers we may have to put limits on. Once it gets to this level, we can't take any more out of the zone and those kind of issues. So I agree with that.
And to
That's an
piggyback on
official
that,
motion.
That was a discussion.
to piggyback on
Could I
that,
get I'm
You're allowed to make,
closing,
you're allowed to make a motion if you wanna make a motion.
I'm closing public comment.
All right, so.
Just make a motion if you feel like you want to make.
So I'd make that motion that we, accept the resolution with,
As presented.
as presented with the amendments to the zone. And then our direction to staff would be to, send the resolution to the finance committee to look at, hardships and limits and all of that.
For discussion and return to us.
Correct.
We'll have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Oh, God. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Stonewall,
aye,
Director Saunders,
Aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough.
I want a clarification on the motion. It's- I want to know why it's going to the finance committee. With all due respect to the finance committee, I think this is more of a legal issue than finance. So can you explain to me, I think Mike made the motion, whoever made the motion, explain to me the purpose of it going to the finance committee.
I think another set of eyes so that they can determine what would be a hardship, so that's the financial aspect, and in the process, we can come up with the other legal aspects moving forward.
Okay, I disagree with that. I don't think the finance committee should have anything to do with determining a hardship or any of those parameters are already being established by people with much more authority than us. I don't think we should be making those determinations in-house. So as long as the motion is like that, I say nay, no.
We have one more, Director McDonald.
Director McDonald,
Nope. He voted.
You're, he technically he did.
He only seconded. I don't think he actually
he
voted
hasn't
yet.
voted.
I can't hear you.
I agree with the motion. I don't have an issue with it going to the finance committee. Was the motion based on the requirement for go to the finance committee?
No. We can.
It was.
It's,
Yeah.
it's, the motion is for us to pass as is and then send to the finance committee to look at, any other things to add, then bring back to the board to review. So remember, we still have the final, look to see, what we want to determine with it as well, so.
But yeah, the motion includes referral to the finance committee.
Cause remember, there are things that,
You can't change.
Robert and Mitch brought up in terms of what are the levels of how far do we want this to go down, so those were issues that can be looked at as well. That's finance.
But I'm confused because now the motion, it sounds different than what the motion originally was made.
Point of
Because
order.
the
Let's-
motion originally was made, sound to me like there was a requirement that it go to the finance committee and ask for clarification, and it was so they could look at the hardship portion of it.
Time
Okay,
out.
so now the motion seems to be all scattered.
Stop.
Let me try to jump in here. The motion was two parts, okay? The first part was to approve the resolution as presented today and with the changes to the actual program. That's the first part. The second part was to refer the program to the
Finance Committee.
finance committee to look at, just to take a look at whatever else they think may need to be changed. For example, the hardship piece, the piece that you discussed earlier.
The lean piece,
The what?
lean piece.
The lien piece that Director Thornborough discussed earlier, and anything else they want to look at. So that was the motion as I heard. Is that what you, okay, I'm seeing a lot of heads nods. Okay, so that's the motion.
Right. And, okay. I don't want to drag this on. I just don't,
Thank you.
I don't agree, so vote no.
Okay,
Do we have McDonald's?
we have
No,
not.
McDonald's hasn't voted yet. You don't have to give a speech either, Mitch or Director.
It's a yes or
You
no.
just vote yes or no.
Yes, more information is better. Final decisions up to the board and with legal counsel input. Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, it is, I think I'm up to the get out of jail free card
We're
here.
gonna do public comment. We're going to-
Are there any public comments before we close? And to go into closed sessions? Is there anything Nick would like to say before we go into closed session? It is now 4:17 and we are going to adjourn.
I'm gonna
into-
open up the additional Zoom so you guys can switch over online.
Can I finish my statement? And we report out as required. We are returning from closed session. It is 6:20 and the report at,
Oh, man.
it's 6:20. And we have nothing to report out. Oh, geez.
So we just have to adjourn, or do you want to talk
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
about?
Are there any requests from the board for future meeting agenda items or added to the future agenda?
Do we want to vote on the calendar? This way, any board meetings would be official as opposed to making them special, because I know we have to do
I'm sorry, you vote
a
on.
calendar of events for our board meetings, because I know January 4th, 4th of July is one where
Oh, yeah, we can.
Don't you adopt a calendar for the whole year at the beginning of the year?
we didn't adopt one yet, but
Or maybe do it at the next meeting?
yeah, that's what my request.
Oh, sorry, that's your request.
Yeah, no, my request was to adopt the
Sorry, I
calendar.
apologize.
Yes.
Is that one that you wanted added to next meeting agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No.
I have one, but I forgot what it was.
You can call me.
At
Text
this
me.
time, I would like to seek a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, so.
Do we have to roll call this?
I have a motion by Director Thornborough and a second by Director Saunders. Could I have a roll call vote?
Okay, Director Stovall,
Aye.
Director Saunders,
aye.
Vice President Seaman,
Aye.
Director Thornborough,
Aye.
and President McDonald.
Motion passes and we are adjourned at 6:22.